Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Okay. Hare Krishna Prabhujis and Matajis, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. A very warm welcome and thank you very much to all of you for joining Partsarthi Foundation evening classes. We are very fortunate today. We have His Grace Advait Pran Prabhu Ji in our house. Prabhuji is going to provide us the nectar of chapter 7, verses 3rd and 4th of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for accepting our humble request to teach the spiritual knowledge spoken by Lord Shri Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita. Although I am not eligible to speak anything about Prabhuji, but I will try my best to give a very brief introduction about him. Advait Arpan Prabhuji is a Diksha disciple of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj and was initiated in 2007 while pursuing his bachelor's in India. Academically, Advait Arpan Prabhuji holds a master's in industrial and operations from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and works as manager for business strategy at DTE. Prabhuji has been actively rendering services at ISKCON temples of Michigan, serving Sri Sri Radha Kunj Bihari as a pujari for over a decade now, conducting Bhakti Vrakshas and Sankirtan in neighboring areas and restoring Srila Prabhupada's Fate Museum. Prabhuji, if I made any mistake while giving your introduction, please forgive me. Let's welcome Prabhuji by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now I'm requesting Prabhuji to take over the call and provide the nectar of today's topic to all of us. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, dear Amit Prabhu. Thank you so much for the undeserving myself with that introduction. I'm very grateful to His Grace Harilila Prabhuji and also Padma Priya Mataji for Prema Priya Padma Mataji for giving this opportunity. Actually, I'm very unqualified and I'm just a servant of His Grace Shamananda Krishna Prabhu, who asked me to speak a few words. Again, I'll try to share a few words just for my own purification and to give pleasure to the listeners and to their lordships. Thank you very much. So before we begin, we will just chant for a few minutes, Jai Radha Madhava, and then we will get right into the verses. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana, Braja Janaranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha, Madhava Radhe, Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari, Radha Kunja Bihari Radhe, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, समवेद भक्तवृंद की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। I got reminded, Hari Hari Bol. So before we begin, we will just chant some invocation prayers and get the mercy of their lordships and the Guru Parampara. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandha Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim mitpatam ham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Pramanandamadam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So once again, welcome to this session on the Bhagavad Gita. I will try to speak a few words, what I've heard from Srila Prabhupada's classes and also from senior devotees and my spiritual master. And if there's something that pleases your heart, it's completely their mercy. And if there's some mistake I made or I make, then I beg forgiveness at your lotus feet as your humble servant. Hare Krishna. So today we will be discussing this very wonderful section of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge of the absolute, chapter 7, knowing Krishna in full by hearing about him. So when I first heard about the verses that I would have to speak or share, speaker is Srila Prabhupada, and we are all listeners. So in that service, we will all hear what Prabhupada is speaking, what Krishna is speaking. But this is a very beautiful, beautiful section of the Bhagavad Gita. I was very enlivened, very joyous to hear about these two verses that we will be discussing. And in a minute, we will get to why. So the two verses, and I've been asked just to share the translations, and we will touch upon sections of the purport as we unfold the discussion today. So a very beautiful verse, 7.3 of Bhagavad Gita. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatadi siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvataha. So Krishna is saying that Manushyanam sahasreshu, out of thousands of men, only one, right, is hardly a siddha. And yatatam api siddhanam, out of so many siddhas, kaschin mam veti tatvataha, hardly one knows me in truth. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. And the next verse that we will also be discussing today is 7.4, where Krishna describes his material energies. Bhumirapo analo vayur kammana buddhirevacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakritir ashtadha. Bhinna prakritir ashtadha. My separated energies are eightfold. Bhumi, Apo, Analo, Vayur, Kham, Mana, Buddhi, or Ahankara. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Together, they constitute my 8 separated material energies. So these are the 2 verses for today. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So this section of the Bhagavad Gita is the opening of the second phase of the Bhagavad Gita. If Bhagavad Gita is broken down into 3 phases, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes it's like a beautiful jewel box. And right now, this section of the Gita, the 7th chapter, is the portion, as you can see this little boy here, he's opening up the treasure chest. The base of the treasure chest constitutes the first 6 chapters of the Gita. And the lid of the chest is the last 6 chapters. And the treasure within the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna is so ardently waiting to share with all of us is the treasure of bhakti which he has embedded within the Bhagavad Gita. And right now, for the first time in this Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is unveiling that treasure. So till now, right, in the 6 chapters, we all know that Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the Upanishads. Sarvopanishadogdavo, Dogda Gopala Nandanaha, Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhuktam, Dugdam Gitamritam Mahat. Krishna is milking the essence of all the Upanishads who have personified themselves to be a beautiful cow. And as Krishna is milking the essence of the Upanishads for Vatsaha, for the calf, who is personified by Arjuna, Sudhir Bhuktaha, those who are Sudhir, very intelligent, they also sever in this knowledge of the Gita and get benefited. I used to go to the Udupi Krishna temple every day to chant my rounds and to also honor Prasadam when I was studying my engineering in Manipal. And there's a beautiful hall in Udupi, Krishna temple, right by the actual temple, where all the verses of the Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses, are inscribed. And there is this beautiful inscription of this picture of Krishna milking the cow, the Bhagavad Gita. So as Krishna is milking the cow, Krishna starts with explaining the process of yoga or connection with him through the first step of the yoga ladder for those who don't have much knowledge of who God is, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They don't know, they're attached to their work. These people, karmis, right? Krishna is trying to divert them through karma yoga, perform their activities and slowly give the results to the Supreme. Krishna doesn't say in the beginning that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Matta parataram nanyad. Matsthani sarva bhutani. Krishna doesn't say that. Krishna is gradually leading his listeners of the Bhagavad Gita through the phase of karma yoga, which is predominantly in the first 6 chapters. Also, there is Jnana Yoga, as you can see in the picture here. 2nd chapter, little bit in the 4th chapter, where Krishna is giving some knowledge. Sankhya philosophy, empirical knowledge of understanding who are you, what is the soul, who is the super soul, what is Prakriti. Krishna is gradually giving it to people who are on this path of yoga. However, Prabhupada is different, right? Prabhupada from the very beginning, he gives the essence from the very first page, from the very first word. One very envious person came to Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada, look in your verses, in your translations, you are saying there is Krishna here, but in the verse Sanskrit, there is no Krishna. And again, Prabhupada said, yes, where else? And he said, look in this verse, there is no Krishna here, but you have written Krishna. There is no Krishna, but you have written Krishna. And the devotees were eager to wait for Prabhupada to destroy him. Prabhupada would become time personified like a lion. Prabhupada would defeat the opposing forces. Just like we would watch some videos where there would be this villain who's trying different punch shots, and the hero in one shot, he vanquishes the villain. Like that, Prabhupada, in one go, Prabhupada would defeat the opposers of those who oppose pure devotional service. But here, Prabhupada is not saying anything. This person goes on and on and on and on. And the devotees are waiting. The 18th chapters are completed. Thousands of times he's chanted the names of Krishna and he leaves. And the devotees are like, Prabhupada, you didn't defeat him. Prabhupada said that poor man has been chanting the names of Krishna, which he has never chanted all his life. Let him get benefited by it. And then he told the devotees that, look, if some person reads only one page of the Bhagavad Gita, and it might not be in the section where Krishna is revealing the essence of the Gita. He should not miss the essence and miss this very valuable human form of life. Durlabham manusham deha. Tehinam kshanabhangura. In 1 second, we can lose this human life. He should not miss this opportunity. So Prabhupada actually gives the essence of bhakti, because a karma yogi gradually understands that Krishna is the person he's offering his activities to. And he gets purified and he offers himself to Krishna and becomes a devotee. A Jnana Yogi understands that Krishna is the essence of all of his austerities and finally gets to Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada, just like if Warren Buffett had written a book on investments, right, and he has gone through explaining options, futures, derivatives, and different funds, but in the crux of the book, he has told you where to invest to make the most money. Why should you spend time reading all of that, right? An intelligent person will go to the crux, and that's what Prabhupada is giving. So Prabhupada gives it early, but Krishna, just now in the Bhagavad Gita, he is revealing to the listener the essence of the Gita. 6th chapter, Krishna talks about, as we know, Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana vastita tadgatena manasa pashyantiyam yoginaha. The yogi is trying to see the localized form of Paramatma in his heart. This yogi, but this form of yoga, as Krishna is saying, is not relevant for this age, and it is very difficult, O Arjuna. Chanchalam himana Krishna, pramadi bhalavadrudam. Arjuna is saying this mind is so turbulent, obstinate, difficult to control. So Krishna is here saying that yoginam api sarvesha mat gater antaratmana. One who always thinks of me with Shraddha, Shraddhavan bhajate yomam. He is the best. And Krishna is opening up the 7th chapter, saying, my asakta mana. Me, O Arjuna, have your manas ka asakti jo hai, the attachment to your mind on me, O Partha, through this process of yoga. Yogam yunjam mad ashrayaha, take shelter of me. Asamshayam samagramme, without a doubt, completely you will understand me. By hearing about this transcendental knowledge. Only a devotee will be able to appreciate this. The jnanis, karmis, they won't be able to understand. There is a layer of mood of Krishna behind what he's saying. Right? Krishna is saying, Maya sakta mana partha, my mad ashraya, take my shelter. Man bana bhava mad bhakto, my eva mana adatsva, my buddhim niveshaya. In this section of the Gita, Krishna is saying, me. If it's like a boy, if he's approaching a girl, and he's saying, I love you so much. Please spend your time with me. Give your heart to me. It's about connecting. Krishna here has given himself to us. For millions of lifetimes, Krishna has been waiting in our hearts, waiting for us to turn towards him. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam vidadati kama. That Krishna has been fulfilling so many material desires. But Krishna is waiting for that moment for us to turn towards him. And here, Krishna, Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Visheshuvam, very beautiful Krishna, who is Lakshavriteshu Surabhira Bipalayantam, who is worshipped by so many Lakshmi Devis, gopis in the spiritual world with unalloyed devotion. He is waiting because each of us make a difference to him. We are all his parts and parcels. And here, Krishna is revealing himself. This is the mood behind these verses. He's saying, Shina Sukham, Mahar Dukkam, for little happiness, you are going through so much of misery. And Krishna is making a plea here. And if there's a quiz question, which verse of the Gita, Bhagavat, Chaitanya Charitamrita, or any of the verses has Prabhupada most spoken upon is this section of the Gita, this verse here. You can see Krishna here. Ashru Sinchanta Murdvitalam. You can see that as Mahaprabhu is just shedding tears of love in separation from Radharani. Krishna's tears are these beautiful verses. What better book than to study this beautiful Bhagavad Gita? Gita Sugita Kartavya Kim Anye Shastra Vistavaihi. What is the need to study anything else? Ya Swayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padma Vinishritaha. It has emanated from the lotus lips of Padmanabha. And here, Krishna is saying, Shrunu, listen, hear. Actually, hear or listen is a very superficial word in English, right? We cannot really match the words of Sanskrit. They have such depth to those words. it is said that when we hear these holy names of Krishna, Krishna is not different from his holy names. Shrunvatam swakatam Krishna punya shravana kirtanam pravishta karnarendrena swaham bhava saroram. These holy names of Krishna, who is not different from Krishna, is entering the holes of our ears. But that shrunu, this hearing, shrunu, it comes from the root shravana. Shrunu, who can really hear? Shrota. There are actually three words, right? One is sarota, one is sota, and one is shrota. Sarota is one who is listening to find out, okay, what is the speaker speaking? Oh, I know this. I already know this. Oh, I could have told these points. I can speak better than him or her. Oh, Narsimhadev, oh, I know the pastimes. They are analyzing, dissecting, doing research on, and trying to use their intelligence, so they're not really absorbing. Iskan se indar, uskan se bahar, right? So they are just taking these words in, but they're only dissecting. They are just trying to analyze those words. So it really doesn't enter the heart. Swaham bhava saroruham. It doesn't really enter the heart like a shrota. Sota. Jaya Radha Madhava goes to sleep. Mahaprasade Govinde wakes up, right? So sleeping. But Shrota is one who is eagerly waiting to sever, enjoy, taste, and bring Krishna within the lobes of one's ears. And tasting Krishna's beautiful holy names. Na jane janita ki abdir amruta Krishna iti varnadve. I don't know how much nectar is there in these two words. Krishna, Rupa Goswami is praying. So, Parikshit Maharaj, for example, as he's hearing Bhagavad Katha, do we think he doesn't know all of those Katha? He knows all of it. We'll not get into the history, there is less time, but Parikshit Maharaj has been hearing about Krishna. Saratya Pashada Sevana Sakya Dautya Virasana Nugavana Shravana Pramanam Snigdeshu Pandushu Jagat Pranatim Cha Vishnu Bhaktis Karoti Nrapatas Charanaravinde. He's hearing about Krishna, how Krishna was a Sarathi, was a chariot driver, a night watchman, how Krishna was serving the Pandavas, his grandfathers, as the Shanti Duta, how Krishna was their dearmost friend, Parshada, Pranaman. He would pay obeisances to Yudhishthir Maharaj, he would embrace the Pandavas. That Krishna, his pastimes, Parikshit Maharaj has been hearing. But when he hears this in the Bhagavatam, we can see how much of enthusiasm he has. Suta Goswami was repeating, his name was Ugroshrava, means a fierce listener. That's why he could speak. I just read a quote from my spiritual master, Holiness Jaipataka Maharaj, where he said, one who can hear very nicely can speak very well. Somebody asked him in one of the parikramas many years back, that how come Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, you can speak so nicely Chaitanya Leela, we can feel Chaitanya Leela dancing in our heart. He said, I've read Chaitanya Bhagavad, Chaitanya Charitamrita and heard more than 108 times. This is the quality of hearing. And so when we hear, we also chant. When he was actually here, he came to our house a couple months back on his trip to Michigan, 3 months back. And after the trip, after 3 days of staying in our house, as he was preparing to leave, my wife and I, and we came and we begged forgiveness for any mistakes. We thanked him so much for taking so much trouble to come and bless us and the yatra by his association. And he had tears in his eyes. He folded his hands to us and he said that, I am very sorry for any inconveniences I've caused to you. Please forgive me. You had to make all these arrangements. All the devotees there in the room, we all had tears in our eyes. We didn't know what to say. Our voices were choking up. In this mood of humility, when we hear Trinadapi Sunechena, Tarorapi Sahishnuna, in that mood, we can actually hear the holy names of Krishna. We can chant the holy names of Krishna purely. So, Krishna is stressing on hearing in this section. So, as we are hearing this, Krishna is revealing his opulences. The word Krishna is a combination of supreme greatness, as Amarendra Prabhu says, and supreme sweetness. Krishir bhuvachako shabda, nastvam nivritir vachakaha. Bhuvachako, how great is Krishna? We will touch upon that when we discuss the 4th verse very shortly. how Krishna is the primeval Lord, the Lord of all the Lords, the cause of all causes, the supreme absolute truth, the summum bonum, the root of the entire creation. And nastvam nivritai vachakaha. How Krishna is sweetness personified. Everything about Krishna is so sweet. And Krishna is going to reveal this knowledge to the listeners now in the Bhagavad Gita, in this next couple verses. So we will dive into the actual verses itself with this introduction. So we went over this verse, 7.3, where Krishna is saying that, oh, you devotee, you have sacrificed your morning sleep, all of you who are in India, by staying up at 6 in the morning, hearing about beautiful. Oh, devotees, you are so busy, but still you're giving. Such a person, Krishna is saying, is very, very, very rare. Krishna is saying, Manushyanam Sahasreshu. Amongst thousands of people, there's hardly one Siddha. And out of so many Siddhas, there's hardly one who can understand me in truth. Since the purport is very long, in a nutshell, Prabhupada is describing how people in general are having an animalistic tendency. And rarer those who are inquisitive. But one who understands Krishna is the rarest of all. And if we want to know how rare this really is, right, we will go briefly into this section of Chaitanya Charitamrita where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is describing this same subject matter to Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami, we are all Rupa Gunagas. In his line, we are followers of Sri Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami in Dasha Ashwamedha Gatha near Prayaga is listening from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and gaining this Krishna Tattva Vijnana for 10 days and then extolling this knowledge by writing so many books like Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, etc. Right? So here, Mahaprabhu is describing to him. And considering limited time, we will just touch upon this to understand how rare it is to be a devotee. We take it for granted. We get very familiar. In this group, we have 27 participants, right? In a temple, we go to a festival where there are 200, 300, 400 devotees. There are so many devotees around us, we take them cheaply, talking to myself. We become familiar with devotees, deities, holy names, and prasadam. Very dangerous. If we look at this, what Mahaprabhu is saying, Dvavimau Purushav Loke Ksharak Shakshara Evacha Kshara Sarvani Bhutani Kutastam Kshara Uchyate. Two living entities, one who are eternally liberated in the spiritual sky. And there are others who are conditioned jivas. And these conditioned living entities are struggling in this material world, going through different bodies. So it's described in Padma Purana that there are 8,400,000 species, as we all know. Jalaja Navalakshani Sthavara Laksha Vimshatihi Krimayo Rudra Sankara Pakshinam Dashalakshanam Trimshad Lakshani Pashavaha Chatur Lakshani Manavaha. If we get into the math, of course, there are so many aquatics. Jalaja Navalakshani, 9 lakh aquatics, Sthavara Laksha Vimshatihi, unmovable plants and trees, 20 lakh. Similarly, the 10 lakh birds, 30 lakh mammals, 1.2 million or 12 lakh insects. Like this, we are going through so many different species, movable and immovable species. And finally, we are very, very fortunate we get this human form of life, of which there are different gradations of consciousness Mahaprabhu is describing to Rupa Goswami. 400,000 or 4 lakh different gradations of consciousness. And most of the people are uncivilized. Right? Of the humans, most are uncivilized. And to make it into a pictorial form so that it's easy to capture, right? I made this little algorithm. Most people are uncivilized. These people are practically two-legged animals. Ahara nidra bhaya maitunam cha. Where is my food? Where is my sleep? If somebody attacks me, attack that person. I want to destroy anyone who comes in the way of my sense gratification. And I just want sense gratification like animals. No habits, no faith in God, no higher motivations of living in a human life. Like Nike, just do it, right? Because your senses say just do it. Live life king size. They eat anything and everything, anything that flies in the sky, which is not an aeroplane. So it's interesting. I was doing a program in Wayne State University, one of the close by universities, and we were talking about the modes of material nature. I asked one boy, so what time do you wake up in the morning? He said 4 o'clock. I was shocked. We're like, wow, 4 o'clock, amazing. How come you get up so early? No, he said, no, my class starts at 5 p.m. So I wake up at 4 p.m. 4 o'clock is in 4 p.m. And he said, I also take bath once a week. So, of course, jokes aside, in this case, reality aside, most people are uncivilized. Very few are civilized. They have some kind of civilized nature, wanting to follow something. They're called Veda Nishthas. Veda means knowledge. Like Krishna says, Vedaham samititani. Vartamani cha Arjuna bhavichyati bhuchani mam tu vedana kaschana. Nobody understands me. Knowledge. So these people have some knowledge. We have to be good in life. We have to watch TV. We should not do bad to others. We have to be okay. You have to be okay. There was a book actually that was published a long back during Prabhupada's time. The book was called I Am Okay, You Are Okay. So when devotees used to distribute Prabhupada's books, people used to ask, is this book? I am okay, you are okay? So they went to Prabhupada. They said, what do we say, Prabhupada? Prabhupada said, tell them, this is the book. I am okay, you are not okay. You need to be a devotee of Krishna, then you will be okay. So these people just want to live some pious life. You can see here, they're celebrating a birthday. They have some kind of faith. Then is another section, which is even more rare, Veda Mukha Mane, where for lip service, they will tell to others also, you have to be good, you have to help the poor, you have to build some hospital for the poor people, something, but they won't do anything. And of all of these people, the most rare are dharmacharis. Mahaprabhu is describing. These dharmacharis, they have faith in the scriptures. They have faith in something sublime. They have faith in God. They want to also do some austerities for something better than themselves. And of them, the first section of people are karmanishthas. Also, karma kandis, as Krishna describes in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. These people, karmanishthas, what they do is that they are performing sacrifices. They believe in the scriptures, but they do that for themselves. मुझे कुछ मिलना चाहिए तब मैं करूंगा. मुझे कुछ नहीं मिलेगा तो क्यों करूं? Why should I do something which is not for some gratification for myself? Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, right? He's saying that Yamima pushpitam lokam pravadant avapaschitaha. These are unintelligent, avapaschita, unintelligent people. Kamatmana swargapara. For sense gratification, they want to go to the heavenly planets. Vedavada Radam Partha. These are Vedavada Ratis, followers of the Vedas. Bhoga Ishwartyam Gatim Prati. For gratification, to get heavenly bodies, to enjoy more material enjoyment. M-E, material enjoyment, means me. What is it in for me? And they desire bhukti. Bhukti means sense gratification. I need something for my body, for myself. So that is bhukti. These are those who are performing Vedic sacrifices, but for their own gratification. You can hear them chant in different temples also, right? They're just chanting, offering oblations, but the reason is for bhukti, for their own gratification. They are very rare, but more rare than them are jnanis. Means those who are thinking, wait a minute, how many lifetimes I have performed so many material activities? Like in this case, for a karma kandi, Krishna with Rukmini sitting in Dwaraka, he sees a small ant going by and he's smiling. Rukmini asks, why are you smiling, O Lord? And the Lord says, this ant has been Indra 28 times. He has enjoyed every pleasure with his eyes, nose, ears, tongue, touch. Still, he is trying to suck on the pleasure that's coming out of this sugar ball. They're trying to enjoy pleasure, but the jnanis are thinking, there is something more than this. I should be made of some substance more than this, because this has not given me real enjoyment. And I am made of some spiritual substance. And I should then be a part of a spiritual entity. And this spiritual entity must be much greater than myself. And I want to be one with that because I belong to that. In that way, a jnani thinks and for the first time looks upward. And since the jnani does not know more than that, he does not know God is a person. So for him, his goal is to merge with that all supreme Brahma Jyoti effulgence. And Prabhupada came, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, to defeat the end of Vedanta to be Jnana. He wanted Bhakti, which what Krishna is presenting, to be the end of Vedanta. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this Jnani is desiring that. And of so many Jnanis, one who has attained perfection is a Siddha. And that is this verse. Yatatam api Siddhanam. Siddha, Krishna is saying. Siddha wants more than skin pleasure that a Karma Kandi wants, more than Bhukti. He wants more than just Mukti that the Jnani wants. He wants Siddhi. He wants controllership. He wants Pratishta. He wants to be the center. However, of so many Siddhas, thousands and thousands and millions and billions of Siddhas, hardly is one Krishna Bhakta. This is how rare it is to be a devotee. What to speak of getting connected with Srila Prabhupada and his mission. Prabhupada had that potency. He would bring a person straight from uncivilized human life, hippies, and make them devotees, happies. That was Prabhupada. Narad Muni, for example, Bhukti, who wanted Dhruva Maharaj. He wanted a kingdom much bigger than his great-grandfather. And when he sees the Lord by the mercy of Narad Muni, he says, Sthana Abhilashi tapasi sthitoham. Sthana ka abhilash mein tapas kiya. Tvam praptavan deva munindra guhyam. I have achieved you, oh Deva Munindra Guhyam. You are even secretive, not even approachable by the great Devatas or Munis. Kachin vichinvan api divya ratnam. I was looking for broken pieces of glass, but I found divya ratnam. Varam nayache, Swami kritartosmi varam nayache. I don't want anything. He comes straight to Bhakta. Jnani, for example, Madhusudan Saraswati, great Mayavadi, sannyasi, who had 60,000 Mayavad disciples. And they would all come together for a symposium, a conference to Kashi. And the disciples would ask him questions. Please, O Guru Maharaj, tell us the form of the formless, the attributes of the attributeless. Tell us about the leelas of the leelaless person. Please tell us. And this discussion is senseless. And he would explain it based on Mayavad, unfortunate Mayavad conclusions. But one day, Madhusudan Saraswati gets to go to the holy dham of Vrindavan. And by the association of Raja of Vrindavan, the devotees of Vrindavan, he becomes a devotee. And the next year when he comes, these 100,000 people ask him these questions. What is your new realization? How can you tell us about the formless God? And he tells, Vamshi Vibhushita Karannavadina Davan Pitambara Daruda Bimba Phaladharoshta Purnenu Sundara Mukhan Aravinda Netra Krishnat Param Tattva Maham na Jane. I don't know anyone who is greater than the supreme absolute truth of Krishna. How beautiful is Krishna? Vamshi Vibhushita Karan. If we get into the details, I know we'll run out of time. I want to respect your time. But by the association of a devotee of Krishna, one can actually get bhakti after Brahmande Brahmite, being in Brahmana, being in confusion for millions and billions of lifetimes. And this is the first of the 7 sections that Mahaprabhu describes. But in interest of time, this is how rare it is to get devotional service of the Lord. And so next time we see a devotee, we should understand how rare it is. And there are Prabhupada disciples even here in this temple. They pay obeisances to the temple even before entering the temple for 5 minutes. That is how much they value and treasure what Prabhupada has given. And Prabhupada says here, other transcendentalists may attain Brahman or Paramatma realization at best, but they are confused in their attempts. And here is little Saraswati. We might know this pastime, how a Vedantist, he's coming and asking Prabhupada, who is the Supreme Lord? And as he's reading through the pages of the Vedas, Prabhupada asks him, and he finally concludes that we cannot conclude who is the Supreme. And Prabhupada picks up a cookie from a cookie jar and gives it to this little girl, Saraswati, 2-year-old girl. And Prabhupada asks, so who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? She says, Krishna. And Prabhupada says, look, even a baby, a child in the Hare Krishna movement knows the essence of all the Vedas. So there was a story of this Jnani who, after millions of lifetimes, he understands that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And he goes to Vrindavan and sees Krishna, and he's running around helter-skelter and telling the gopis, Shruno Sakhi, oh Sakhi, listen to me. And the Sakhi is asking, what? Why are you walking like a zombie? You are confused. Your hair is all disheveled. What happened to you? He said, I discovered something amazing. She says, what? Shruno Sakhi kautukam ekam nandaniketanangane maya drishtam. I saw somebody in Nandaniketanangane, in the Angana of Nanda Baba. Go duli du saritam. That person had smeared on his body the beautiful pollen like dust coming up from the hoofs of all the cows. Nrityanti, he was dancing Vedanta Siddhanta, the essence of all the Vedanta Siddhanta I've been studying for so many years. Finally, I see him, and he is our dearmost Shamasundara, Gopavesh, Navakishore Sri Krishna. And that Krishna is Bhaktya Tushyati Kevalam Natugunair Bhakti Priya Madhava. Krishna is only looking for devotion in the heart of the devotees. He does not care for any other qualities. Vyadyasya charanam dhruvasya kavayo. What acharana did Vyada, the hunter, have to become Valmiki Muni? Dhruvasya kavayo. If you think by age of performing devotional service, you will become realized. What age did Dhruva have? Vidya Gajendrasya ka. Just by quoting some verses, if you think you can attain Krishna. How did Gajendra attain the Supreme Lord? Vidya Gajendrasya ka kubjaya kimunama rupamadikam. If you think just by bodily beauty, then what bodily beauty did Kubja have? Kim tat sudham no dhanam. If it's just dhana, you give some donation on Janmashtami, I will achieve Krishna. What did Sudama have? Vamsho ko vidurasya. By high race, Vamsha. Then what did Vamsha did Vidura have? Ugrasya kim paurusham. सिर्फ पौरुष से होता है तो उग्रसेन के पास क्या था? Bhaktya tushyati kevalam natugunair bhakti priya mahadava. That is Krishna. And that is what Krishna is revealing and thanking the listener who is getting conviction. We cannot catch Krishna just by our intelligence or by our mind. Indriyanam paro arthaha, arthanam paro manaha. Mananam manascha paro buddhihi. What is higher than the senses or sense objects? More than that is the mind. More than that is the intelligence. Way beyond is Krishna. How will I think just by reading a few verses, by speaking something, by hearing something, I can attain Krishna? No. Bhaktya tushyati. When we do this in the mood of service to Krishna, Krishna, I don't know anything. I'm a fool. I am just your eternal servant. Please, Krishna, give me some intelligence by which I can know a speck of dust from your lotus feet. That mood when we approach Krishna. Prabhupada used to say that Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyate. Just by speaking something, you will not understand the Lord. Na medhaya, na bahudashrutena, nor by just hearing, or by our intelligence, just by unalloyed devotion. So in this mood, after Krishna presents this, Krishna moves on to talk about how his material energies are his external separated energy. And here Krishna talks about, or Prabhupada talks about the three Vishnus. How Krishna personally is in the spiritual world. Goloka eva nivasatya kilatma bhuta. He is enjoying amorous pastimes. When he personally comes down, prema rasa ninyasa karilo aswadana. Raga marga, bhaktir pracharana. In Raga marga, he just wants to give love of God, and he wants to build a beautiful trailer to attract people. Rasika Shekhara Krishna Paramakaruna. This Krishna is only enjoying beautiful pastimes. But through his expansions of Vishnu Murtis, Vishnu Tattvas, he helps create this material manifestation. Starting with this Panchabhutas, Bhumir, Apo, Analo, Vayur, Kham, Earth, Water, Fire, Air, Ether, and the subtle elements, mind, intelligence, ego. From them, Tanmatras, and then expansions of those, the Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas. All of this is described in the 13th chapter and further in the Bhagavatam, Sarga, Visarga, and the different sections. But since it's Bhagavad Gita and we are just introducing this topic, I will not get into any detail here. Vishnu, the difference between Krishna's creation and some other creation here, right, is that Vishate cha vyapnoti iti Vishnu. Vishnu is not only creating all of these and the source of all these elements, but he enters into each of these elements. He creates, enters, and maintains. Here a devotee had come recently from Canada, and I was sitting in his car, Tesla car, the latest Tesla, as we all know, self-driving. I'd never been in a self-driving car, and the car is driving itself and going. And I asked him, is it safe, Prabhuji? And Prabhuji said, it's much safer than me driving. So Steve Jobs might create a beautiful iPhone, Elon Musk may create Tesla, but he does not personally go and sit in Tesla and drive. Steve Jobs is not sitting inside her phone and doing all that algorithm. No, they are just creators. Here, Krishna is not only creating all of this, but he's personally present within every atom. And these are the manifestations of this material energy throughout this world in different forms, shapes, sizes, which makes us attracted to this material world. And all these have been orchestrated by the external energy of the Lord, personified by Durga Devi. Shrishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Chhayeva Yasya Bhimanadi Bhuvati Durga. So Durga, Govindamadi Purusham Tamham Bhajami. So Durga Devi is the superintendent of Prakriti, and she has been empowered by the glance of Vishnu through Shiva Tattva to basically create all of these material ingredients. And Krishna in this way is the ultimate source of all material or spiritual or marginal things in this world. He is Sarva Karana Karanam. So in this way, Prabhupada is describing that unintelligent people assume that material world is for sense enjoyment. But intelligent people, what we do as devotees is that we understand this is also Krishna's energy. And it is Maya because I am thinking it is independent of Krishna and I want to enjoy. But when I understand this belongs to Krishna, then I use it in his service and I spiritualize it. And that is the mood of a devotee approaching Krishna's external energy also. I was living in a house about 10 minutes from the temple, and a few months back, there's a condo here right next to devotees. There's a devotee to my left, a devotee to my right, a devotee in front. And we so wanted to stay near the devotees, and we moved here and we rented out that house. So, hello, tenant is staying in that house and paying me rent. Why? Because I am the supposed owner of the house, so he pays me rent. So what my senses are, my body is, these are all coming from Krishna. So if this actually belongs to Krishna, should I not serve Krishna with this? Because it belongs to him. In that mood, when we use what is Krishna's in Krishna's service, then we spiritualize this external energy of Krishna. And in this way, we connect with Krishna's actual mercy and in devotional service. And Prabhupada says, Brahma Jyoti, or the goal of the impersonalists, is effulgence of Lord and the spiritual energy manifested by the spiritual sky that has no variegatedness. Even Paramatma is temporary, all-pervading aspect of Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, because the Vishnu Murti expansions of Krishna are just meant for maintenance of this material world. They have nothing to do in the spiritual world, Prabhupada is saying here. And this is also described, right? How Krishna is the source of all of this, what Krishna is saying in the Brahma Vimohana Leela pastime. How when Brahma steals the cows and cowherd boys, we all know the story. Krishna expands himself into all the Vishnu Murtis and through them into all the cowherd boys and every little thing, their sticks, their bugles, their lunch boxes, their every paraphernalia, their mood, their likings, everything Krishna replicates. Why? He's the source of the Vishnu Murtis. Sukadeva Goswami describes, Yavad Vatsapavatsa Kalpakavat Vapur Yavad Karengradikam Yavad Yashni Vishanu Venu Dalashik Yave Vibhushambaram Sarvam Vishnumayam Girong Yad Ata Sarvaswarupa Babhau. Everything is a manifestation of Vishnu, ultimately. And the source of Vishnu is Sri Krishna. So in this mood, we would study this further as we go through the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, especially the 13th chapter and the Jnana Yoga section. So I'll end with this last slide, where the question is, why should I study all of this or hear all of this? Is it not enough to just hear about the Leelas of Krishna? There are such beautiful Leelas of Krishna. Our hearts are just enamored by that. And that's what devotees desire. Parasparanu kathanam bhavanam. They just desire that. But why should I understand about all of these sections of the Bhagavad Gita? Why? Because my vision is impure. I am not seeing everything as being in connection with Krishna. I am seeing how to enjoy that material manifestation of Krishna. Desire is the water in whose reflection the spiritual world becomes reflected in this material world, as the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita describes, Urdhva Mula Madha Shakam. It is that material desire that I am thinking I will get some happiness by indulging in this or by running after that, whether it's pride or prestige or sense gratifications or dhanam or sundarim or something in this material world. But Sukadeva Goswami describes, finally, when you are studying all of these elements, finally it comes from Krishna. Vasudeva Parabrahma iti anya artha na asti iti tattvataha. There is no other artha or value than Krishna. Why should I run after some material manifestations of Krishna's expansions, which will finally give me unhappiness if I see it independent of the Lord? Rather, I run after the source of this entire manifestation, the all-sweet Shamasundara Krishna. Every desire I've desired in this whole material world is finally having its source in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this mood, when we study, when we read, when we hear, then it purifies our desires. It purifies our understanding. It purifies our vision of this world. Atmavan manyate jagat. You might be seeing the same thing, but when a devotee looks at the same thing, or Prabhupada looks at it, the vision is completely different. We want that vision through becoming Shastra Chakshu, seeing through the lenses of the Shastras. That's why we're studying this. Otherwise, there is no need to study all of this in the spiritual world. In fact, the Gopas are looking at the four-headed Brahma who's coming and offering prayers now. And they're saying, who is this strange being? He has four heads but no brain. He is worshipping him as Govindam, Adi Purusham. I just defeated him in wrestling. Mother Yashoda is calling Krishna. She's saying, Krishna, study. Krishna tvam pata pata kim pathami nanure shastram kimukhyayate. She's saying, Krishna tvam pata, study Krishna. Krishna is saying, pata kim, kya padhu? Pathami nanure shastram. You have to read all these books, scriptures. Kimukhyayate, usse kya milega? Tattvam, you will understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kasya vibhu sakshat tribunadi shashyate. The Lord who is the source of the entire three worlds. Napikim, Krishna is asking, usse kya milega maiya? Jnanam. Bhakti ratra virakti ranaya mukti rena shashvate. You will understand knowledge, jnanam. Bhakti, you will get devotion to Narayan. And finally, you will get liberation from all material bondage. Krishna is like, Dadya dini maturuditam vakyam hare patuva. Describe, Padyavali describes. Krishna is saying, I don't want all of this, Maya. Dadya dini, give me little butter. I'll just enjoy that butter and be happy. Dadya dini maturuditam. Maya Yashoda, rone padti hai. She falls down and cries, what will happen to my son? This same son who is Muhyanti et Suraya, who cannot be understood by the great demigods. Tene Brahma Hridayadikave. He is giving this transcendental knowledge to Brahma. And that same Supreme Lord who is speaking this 700 verses of a Bhagavad Gita just as a pep talk in 45 minutes on the battlefield of Kurukshetra that we are all trying to study and understand and relish. So it's 9:30. Again, forgive me if I spoke anything wrong as a humble servant. Try to speak a few words that I was meditating on today. Helpful?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful lecture. Harilal Prabhuji, do you want to speak anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for giving such a nectarian class, Prabhuji, full of very wonderful enlivening and describing the Krishna's attributes, all the way. So nice, and the language that you have to describe Krishna is unparalleled. Very nice, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Prabhuji, we'll have some time to take question answers.
Sure, Prabhuji. And again, I've heard that there are many senior devotees here on the call. I have no qualification, but yes, we could, Prabhuji. And
so I will request Aradhana Mataji, please take the question answer session. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Today's question answer session Amit Prabhu will be taking.
Okay, okay, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. So, Prabhuji, as far as my concern, the lecture was very nectarian, especially when you try to touch up the references, like you give the reference of Dhruv Maharaj, you give the reference of Vidurji, you give the reference of our Prahlad Maharaj, you give the reference of Sudama. So that touching points are very much like give the reference point, as well as when you said that Krishna is there, we just need to turn around and take his blessings or surrender by himself. Second thing, and last and least thing, not the least, when you say that why we need to read all these scriptures, we can just go and see, like listen the Krishna's pastimes only for the chapter 10, you know that, but why we need to go and listen everything for the pure sake of our purity. So these are the three, like my sense for the class lecture. There are a lot many more, but these are the most important ones which I liked very much, and it was very wonderful and nectarian class. Thank you, Raj Prabhuji. So I would like to go with the question answers for very briefly, just quickly. Devotees, I'm requesting you everyone. So if there is any questions or any realizations, please raise your hand and ask to Prabhuji. I think Prabhuji, your lecture is so wonderful and so relishing that nobody has any questions. Before
sorry if I spoke something where nobody could understand anything.
No, Prabhuji, it's not like that. Yeah, so devotees, I'm asking one more time. If there is any questions, please raise your hand. Great, Prabhuji. Yes, go ahead, Mika. You can ask your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for that very educating class on the third and fourth verse on the 7th chapter. Prabhu, my small question is that how you said that there are men who can't fully understand, like we can't really understand Krishna fully, but there's very few devotees who can. And then like you also said that scriptures we should like we have to read them to know about Krishna. So my question is that there's a lot of people who say that it's all mythology. So should we like put up a point that Krishna's actually there, or should we just like be quiet like Prabhupada did when the devotee was just saying that where's Krishna in this verse, where's Krishna in this verse for Bhagavad Gita?
Thank you so much for that question, Ji. I'm sensing two questions in this. The first is why we read the scriptures. Bhagavad Gita says that we read the scriptures. Karyam akaryam vyavasthitau, 16th chapter says. So we know what to do, what not to do, because the scriptures should be the guiding force to guide us to do the right things in our day-to-day activities, right? In that sense. But as you said, right, there will be people who will consider Krishna as mythology. They will not understand the reality of Krishna. And Krishna is not bound to reveal himself to everyone, right? So if they have a specific understanding of Krishna, then or God, then Krishna would cover them based on their mentality towards him. So as devotees, right, so based on where they are, we approach them in terms of if they are not even having the intelligence, refined intelligence to understand Krishna, we give them some prasadam, right? And if they can hear about Krishna, and if they're open-minded and they're non-envious, of course, we tell them about Krishna and we describe if they are inquisitive, right? But if they are very envious, then we avoid them, right? And one of the 10 offenses is to instruct the faithless persons of the glories of the holy names, right? So we don't get into the depth of the glories of the holy names, but we, based on where they are, we approach them and give them some mercy.
Thank you very much for the answer, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Any other devotee, do you have any questions, or shall we wind up the call then? I think probably everybody understood the class very much, and there is no more questions. So if you give us the permission, can we wind up the call?
Thank you very much for this opportunity, Prabhu, and all the devotees for spending your valuable time. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, and we are requesting you to come very little frequently to the Partsarthi Foundation classes and give us the nectar of further verses. And so Harila Prabhuji, do you want to say anything, or you are good to close?
Yes, Prabhuji. Again, request to the Prabhuji, so we can have another wonderful sessions in future sometime, Prabhuji, when we will say, we'll let you know, and we'll schedule you, because your class is so nectarian and such a knowledge in depth and the way of describing the verse is really meaningful, and it is helpful for our bhakti. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thanks for kind words, Prabhuji, and your blessings and encouragement. Very grateful. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol, Prabhuji. Amazing session, Prabhu. Amazing lecture. We really want to invite you in Hindi, our base classes, Prabhuji, also. So if you are comfortable to speak in Hindi lectures, so please kindly come as per your schedule, Prabhuji. It's our morning time. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Amazing lecture. We are so grateful to hear. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpatarvishya kripa sindhu bhavevche patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Please, Advait Prabhuji Jai.
Thank you, Prabhujis and Matajis, for joining Partsarthi classes. We request you, Monday and Tuesday evening, we have our classes in English, so please kindly join. We really need your association. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much once again. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Amit Prabhu, for our seva. Hari Bol. You can wind up our call. You can close the call also. Hare Krishna.